Hello everyone and welcome to this video where I'm going to walk you through each of the 9 holes that are going to make up the Stateside Classics tournament starting on Monday. I'm going to be showing you the overviews and I've overlaid the most usual routes for these with the suggested elevations. Bear in mind there will be other approaches to the holes and they will also be wind dependent as the winds are going to change throughout the week. We're going to have different winds from qualifying to opening to weekend round, and also in the 18-hole rounds the same holes on the front and back 9 will also have different wind directions. So bear in mind these routes and suggestions are only a guide and you may need to tweak the elevations depending on the wind strength and directions. So let's start by looking at hole number 1. Hole number 1 then, this is a par 4 with a really good chance for an eagle, particularly if we have any form of tailwind. Regardless of the wind direction, I'd recommend playing this hole with at least a side spin 2 ball, or maybe even a side spin 3 ball, which would help in the event if we have right to left wind. That extra bar of side spin will help you get closer to the green. Most of the time we're going to bounce where the red cross is marked on the overview before the rough. Use top spin and right spin to get ourselves up towards the green to either leave us with short iron or wedge. If we do have tailwind, you can go directly over the rough. You may need power 3 ball plus, and you'll be bouncing in the area of where the blue cross is marked, maybe even slightly to the left of that, and you can use some more right curl to get you nearer to the green. You may need some overpower here depending how strong the wind is, but it does give you a great chance of making the green or being left with a very short easy wedge for the eagle. Drive played plus 20% downhill, so 20% extra on the drive, but the second shot, as it does go uphill towards the green, this has usually been played at minus 10%. If you are looking to bounce where the red cross is, I would suggest, if you have a form of tailwind, just leave a couple of rings room before the rough with your landing position, as you will get some extra carry on the ball if you do have tailwind. But all in all, very, very good chance for an eagle, which will be an important drop now that the tournament wind changes are going to take effect. Hole number 2 then, par 3, which is usually played at 10% elevation, slightly downhill. Black line shown here, the route that is usually played from first and second tees. Rookie division using the long iron, and pro and expert from second tee, most likely going to be sniper or max Goliath if we have tailwind. Landing before the bunker. Now what I usually do here with the sniper is I would look to put the top of the red ring up to the start of the rough before that pot bunker, immediately before the green, then apply backspin as needed to bounce over the bunker and towards the pin. In crosswinds, I do use side spin and I make sure that the ball guide is offset accordingly. So for instance, if you have a wind from left to right, I would leave the tip of the ball guide to the left side of the flag due to the wind effect between the first and second bounce. It would obviously push you right and then more in line with the cup. If we do have headwind, make sure you do allow room for the secondary wind effect. That's the path of the ball between the first and second bounce. As in a headwind, it will check the ball up and the second bounce will end up shorter than what's indicated by the ball guide. So allow for this, otherwise you could end up in the sand or the rough before the green. Hole number 3 then, this is a tricky par 5. And it's going to be a challenge, especially with varying wind conditions. A lot of detail to execute this one well. With the drive, I favour the quarterback here, as the curl is really important to enable us to get in a prime position for the second shot. And also some left side spin, also going to be useful here. The aim is to get our drive to reach the area shown around the tip of the arrow on the first piece of fairway. So it will be bouncing between the trees and that thin strip of rough where the red cross is marked to get up there with a bit of topspin as well. You are going to need a lot of left curl though, at least 1 ball to the left, if not more, so that you hopefully end up with a clear second shot up to the green. If you do have wind from left to right, you are going to pull your rings into the trees, but don't worry if the ball guide does go short or red, as the curl will take the trees out of the equation, but it can be a tricky one to adjust your rings here on the drive. 10% extra is the usual elevation. A second shot, I would go with a drive with more distance, so Big Dog or Cataclysm rather than the Sniper. And I prefer to play this with backspin, even if that means putting a tad of overpower on. I'd rather do that to hold on the green for a putt than to leave the target short and then go with topspin, because the chances are you will come in too hot and roll into the rough on the back of the green. So my preference will be to go with backspin and if need be a little bit of overpower. Elevation on the second shot, you can just see at the top there, -5%. Usually it is played slightly uphill, but do be mindful of the trees on the right hand side of the fairway up towards the green. They are in play, so bear that in mind. In certain wind directions you may want to put a little bit of safety curl on. Safest option here is just to get the ball on the green and take the eagle. Chances of albatross here are slim, and it is very risky to go directly at the pin. If we do have strong tailwind, people have played from second tee in the past a power hook, which ends up with your ball around the area of the light blue cross. If you do want to go with that, you are left with a long iron to the green, and I would suggest go with a long iron which has plenty of backspin. You usually be shooting over the bunkers through the trees to get yourself on the green from that route. But it is a good route if you feel confident and you do have a decent wind and a good amount of topspin to get up there with the long iron shot. So there we go, that is hole number 3. On to hole number 4 then. There are 3 possible routes on this par 3, and I choose which one I'm going to play according to the wind direction. Now from front tee, most common route will be the black line straight ahead, bouncing over the bunker towards the pin using the long iron. Now if you are playing from front tee, make sure you are going to have enough room to adjust your rings depending on the club and ball that you're using, as there is a danger of going in between clubs here, so just be prepared for that. Second tee, people generally play from left or right side with the Sniper, bouncing where I've marked with the blue crosses there. Now I choose the side where the wind is in favour of the direction of the second bounce, so it will be left hand side with wind going from left to right, and right hand side with wind going from right to left in towards the pin. Bouncing over the bunker is also an option, especially with winds that don't have any crosswind element to them. If you do elect to play straight forward, be careful to pay attention to the ball guide and try and find a consistent landing spot before the bunker with your spins applied to avoid any glitches on the fringe or the green. Previously, of course, in Master Division, worth mentioning here, some players were bouncing much further back on the fairway and using a second bounce rough bump to direct the ball towards the pin. Very good approach, but I do believe it's going to be difficult to judge and dial that in with the changing wind conditions throughout the week. But very interesting and challenging par 3 here for hole number 4. Before we go and look at hole number 5, if you are enjoying the video, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Hit the thumbs up on the video, will be greatly appreciated, and also click the bell button so that you get your notifications. On the channel next week, it's my intention to be doing 2 pro accounts and 2 expert accounts, and I will be playing one of those accounts in pro and expert early on Thursday and Saturday to give you a look at the changing wind directions. On to hole 5 now. This is a tricky par 4 and very difficult to get eagle here, so this will be challenging. My favoured route, and there's a lot of ways to play this hole, would be the black route, shown with the black arrows there, bouncing at the front part, as the part nearest the tee, of that thin strip of fairway straight forward where you see the first red cross. Power 3 ball is recommended. You may need, if you have tailwind from front tee, just to stretch out your target and adjust from kind of max overpower position, see if you can reach over. And then of course you just use backspin or topspin depending what driver you're using. and what wind you have to try and play up towards the tip of that first arrow. Then that leaves you second shot bouncing over on the next piece of fairway to the green there. Alternatively, if that shot isn't feasible due to the wind, you can go with the white line. We've kind of played that route a couple of times as well, especially in Master, trying to get as far down on that fairway as you can, and then that does leave you an approach to the green with a potential rough bump actually from the left side. The alternate approach to that, if you can't reach that small strip of fairway with the black arrow, is that you lay up, but then you will need a wood club with distance to get you to the green. So very tricky here, and is important, especially if you're going black line here, to hit perfect, as great either side could most likely end up in danger in the rough or the sand. So going to be very important here. Not going to see many eagles in my opinion, but it is going to be a difficult hole. Final approach here, if you do have a lot of tailwind, go with the black route, but you will need obviously a power ball on and some overpower to kind of bounce directly on that fairway and go over the water and to land you near where the top red cross is for a much easier short iron or wedge. But again, that's only recommended if we've got a decent amount of tailwind from second or third tee. So there we go, that is hole number 5. Hole 6 here, which is par 5, 2 routes here. Now, a while ago people used to always play the white line going kind of straight forward, but more recently the general trend has been to use the island on the left, and that's my preferred route purely because I think it gives you a better chance at the albatross. Either route is played 20% extra on the drive, but let's look at the black route first. So I'm bouncing where that cross is. The good thing here is that once you've landed on that second bit of fairway, it is shaped with a bit of a bowl shape. So if you come in slightly hot, chances are the ball will still hold on the fairway. I'm not saying it's impossible to land in the rough. It absolutely is possible to overrun, but you've got a pretty good chance of keeping the ball in play. And from that island towards the top of that patch of fairway, you do have a really good line with the sniper for the albatross. Second shot from there, 10% extra. Obviously, if you have tailwind, leave your ball guide short of the hole, and vice versa. If you have straight headwind from there, make sure you got your ball guide with the sniper going through the cup to account for the secondary wind effect. With the white line, maybe slightly easier for rookie players from front tee. Big topper is good here with the top spin, but make sure if you do have straight tailwind, leave some room. Do not aim very close to the rough. Even with 20% elevation, the ball will carry further in tailwind and you may find yourself landing directly into the rough. So if you are going to go right route along the white arrow with tailwind, make sure you back your target off slightly so that you do actually bounce on the fairway, and use your top spin to make the ball roll onto that second main patch of fairway. The only disadvantage, as I say, from this route is that you won't have as clear shot to the pin because the bunker and the rough is in play if you go from the kind of more right hand white line approach on hole number 6. So either route, 20% on the drive, 10% on the second shot. Hole number 7 then, another par 3 where you're faced with a choice of different routes, and I think they've really chosen these holes well considering it's the first tournament with changing wind directions. So you've got some options here. Rookie tee, usually it is going to be the black line, but that does play at 10% downhill, landing where the red cross is marked. Now we have had no movement targets that have been dialed in from there with sniper in rookies. And we've also actually had in expert division a very good no movement shot there, I think, from Tony with the rocket and a marlin ball. So it's an option in many divisions, but that one is 10% downhill. Crosswind, left to right or right to left, depending on the direction. You're probably going to want to go with the rough bump, which is your best chance at the hole in one. That one, however, because of the slope on this hole, which you can't see obviously from this aerial view, that one is played 0%. So you'll be looking at landing directly in the rough and then using spin to roll out towards the pin, and that shot is on from both sides. The only problem with the rough bump is that if you do have some tailwind as well as the crosswind, you're going to be adjusting downhill, so you're going to be losing distance. So you do have to be very particular with your adjustments on this hole. If you are going black route particularly, I would prefer to come in slightly on the hot and long side rather than short, because the green has a huge slope up to the pin. So if you are short, you are more likely than not going to roll back down the green towards the tee and going to be left with a very long wedge. Hole number 8 then, which is par 4. Aim with the drive is to get as far down towards the tip of that first arrow as possible. You know, use a power 3 ball if need be, bouncing where the red cross is. The other option on the drive is you can try and cut the corner with more advanced drivers and from tees that are further back. You know, pro or expert, you are going to want to put a bit of extra juice on this drive and try and cut the corner if you can. But for rookies, very safe method just to play straight forward. Regardless of tee that you're playing from, second shot you are going to need a backspin club, and the best choice here is going to be the Guardian. And what you've got above the pin there at the back of the green, you've got some fairway with quite a severe slope, and you play with a lot of backspin and use that slope to bounce the ball second and third bounce back towards the green with the backspin that you have. And that's kind of going to be the best approach really for an eagle, rather than going directly at pin, because the fairway before the green, where the tip of the second arrow is pretty difficult to get a very good bounce up to get a roll to the pin. So preferred option really is to use the bank at the back of the green with backspin. 10% on the drive, and suggested elevation second shot 5%. However, obviously these are only notional figures and you may need to adapt depending on the wind strength and direction. And finally on to hole number 9 then. Now this one for me is one of the more tedious par 5s that we have in the game. Very, very difficult to reach the green in 2. So here you're looking at really a good short iron shot to get your eagle. Most common route is the black line. 10% on the drive, but all the other shots are 0 elevation. And for me, I would like to use the driver here regardless of tee box. That gives me a good ball guide so that I can pretty much get as close to that rough as possible without of course risking rolling into the rough, as that will give me a little bit more distance and a better position for the second shot, which will be played with a wood club. I would recommend going with distance for that as well, especially if your drive is short. So you may want to be packing Big Dog or Cataclysm. Use your top spin and get along that second piece of jagged fairway as best you can, and hopefully leave yourself with an open short iron shot for the eagle. There is an option there with the second shot using the white line to go further to the left to give you more distance on your third shot, but pretty much every time I've played this hole I've gone with the black route there. So distance is very key on the second shot, but to optimize that, make sure you do push your drive as close as you can to that rough. Obviously leave yourself some room, but that's why I favour some good ball guide stat here. Just bear in mind, if you do have tailwind, make sure you leave your ball guide a little bit shorter, because you will get a push from the tailwind between the first and second bounce. So there we go, that's all 9 holes complete for the Stateside Classics tournament. I hope you found the content useful, and don't forget, if you haven't done so already, make sure you hit thumbs up on the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button so you get notifications when new content is uploaded or when there is a live stream. Keep your eyes open on the channel for the next few days for any more updates to the game, and also some more content for the Stateside Classics tournament. Good luck in the tournament, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.